Okay, welcome to our Bucky meeting of November 15, 16, depending on where you are. We're going to be beginning our reading on page 219. There's a subsection there called might, M-I-T-E. After having studied already A quantum modules and B quantum modules in the chapter The Heart of the Matter, A and B quantum modules, chapter 13 of the book. So that's where we're going to pick up and we're going to go. Let me see. I get this, a participant asks, okay, good. I just turned on AI Companion, and I haven't figured out how that works. And Fred, you seem to have used it a couple times very successfully.
It works very well. It does a good job giving a summary of the conversation.
Well, good. So we'll go and we'll start up our meeting tonight. Before we begin our discussion, Lee, how are you feeling? Be sure to unmute. And what do you anticipate getting out of tonight?
You're muted.
What? I went with Lee to T-Mobile store to get her a new phone. And while we were there, we got some options, and she called her son, and the family was planning on buying her a new phone for Christmas. So that put a screeching halt on what we were doing. And we're trying to check in. So she might be suffering for a couple of more.
It's big. It's going to be nice.
How are you feeling, and what do you anticipate from tonight's call?
I'm feeling real excited because we did have good conversation, and I enjoyed all of that. I am going to enjoy getting into the book, but Steve, if you would hand me the magnifying glass, and you don't mind looking at my eyeball or my ear, one or the other, I'd appreciate it so that I can read along, unless you can figure out your computer. Hopefully. And I am excited about learning where we were. I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember because it's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. No, 3 weeks that we haven't talked about anything in the book, except for, what was it? And I can't remember on Wednesday morning or what. So I'm confused. I'll get it together as soon as we open the book. And Fred, how are you? And what would you like to get out of the meeting?
Thank you, Lee. I feel like I'm under pressure right now because somebody's pointing finger at me, saying I did not move forward in the book in Steve's absence, which is true, which probably tells something about where my interest lies, and that's how it is. So I feel good because we had not a direct typhoon, but we had the outskirt of a typhoon. So the weather was miserable for a few days last week, and today is back to bright sunshine. So it changes everybody's mood. My desired takeaway today is I'm going to try to use Google Drive, and I hope I'm successful. So that's my desired takeaway. I'm going to do this as a background task right now. All right, Richard, how do you feel? How are you feeling today, and what is your desired takeaway?
Well, I'm feeling reconnected with the home waters. back into the the weather environment of Western Canada at this time of year and getting ready for the winter, and actually being very, very blessed with the fact that winter is taking its time arriving in November, which I hope it continues to operate on a slow pace. Um, what I'm looking forward, well, a couple of things actually. One is kind of a connection to what was being that Fred was suggesting near the beginning about the mathematical proofs. And that's kind of what I remember as my last discussion when we are talking about how do you prove that the whole is more than the sum of its parts. And I talked about how you can take two triangles and unhook the edges and connect them together in a way that they form four triangles, so you get 1 + 1 = 4. That's been my sort of elementary sort of proof of the statement that the whole is more than the sum of its parts. And I'm always looking for additional ways to be able to back up that um, holistic sort of argument that the wholes are more than the sum of their parts, or to fully understand, I think, what Fuller meant by synergetics, in that he was trying to let everybody know that you can't study the individual parts of any kind of whole system and add up your aggregate knowledge to be able to understand the whole system. I think it goes along the line of that there's nothing in the knowledge that you have about any one part that will predict your understanding of the whole. So I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward to understanding the extension of quanta A and quanta B in terms of that in-out kind of movement of one being conservative and the other being dissipative. So I look forward to that kind of reading. So we're just getting Manu here, and so it'll be Manu, how are you feeling, and what's your intentions for today? What would you like to take away?
Wow, just waking up. I feel good, and I'm positive already, and expecting that we progress and that we see the applications, and we grow. Who's left? Is it Fred? Hello, is it Fred?
Steve.
Steve, how do you feel? What
I
you
went already. Thank you.
Hey, I'm feeling pretty good. I've been out for a while, and I've listened to the recording of your guys' last conversation. It was real interesting, and I think I was sharing beforehand that um, that this book, The Fuller Explanation, has been a big help understanding concepts in synergetics and cosmography. And the cosmography has been really good in understanding concepts in this fuller explanation. But there, I'm not really, I just haven't figured out how this IVM connects exactly. I have a sneaking suspicion or two about how the IVM connects to molecules and physical structures like human beings and animals and trees. But I and and so that's a big question mark for me. But I think what's been helpful to me is to understand, is to think of these geometric shapes as frames. And I like the idea, Richard suggested this a couple times, instead of Platonic solids, they should be Platonic frames. And And that would be better for me. So we're getting into it. We're going to read more about it, and I'm excited and delighted to do so. Okay, everybody's here, and I have the reading I can bring up here.
Steve,
Yes.
before you start, I want to answer your question. The link between IVM and the organic.
Okay.
The square or the cube.
I've been getting
Move
that.
and bonding. That's it. You move by bonding, by relating, by folding. Bonding is relating.
Yeah. Bonding
So
is what?
bonding is relating.
Is relating. Yeah.
Yes. So you do simple bond like gas, double bond like a hinge, triple bonds like solid, and quadruple bond like a tetrahedron. And then you unfold. And that is the continuity of the flow of energy. Remember, first principle, energy flows, energy always flows, energy flows to the line of least resistance. Also remember that once there is a boundary, that is finiteness, there is a flow in and out. And that flow in and out fills the space, always fills the space. At different density, but the space is always full. That's why you have continuity of relationships.
And so a simple bond is gas, double bond is what?
A hinge, liquid. Liquid
Okay. All right.
is a hinge. A triple bond is crystals.
Okay.
And quadruple bond is diamond.
And the octahedron.
Yes.
And I get the
or the tetrahedron.
or the tetrahedron, huh?
Yes.
Because I've been fascinated with and had a deeper understanding of the relationship between the double tetrahedron, the Merkaba, and it's easy to shift from the implied octahedron in a tetrahedron. In a double tetrahedron, there is very firmly an octahedron, and I've gotten that the square is the dual of the octahedron. And I'm really big on the octahedron because of Hebrew mysticism, the Kabbalah, Native American mysticism, and even other things like Norse mysticism. They have a big relationship with an octahedron and the four directions and the up and the down and the seventh direction within, and how that octahedron, when I saw in this last month or so the cube as a dual of the octahedron, it was like a light went on. So that was cool. And I'm going to listen. I understood some of what you said, and I've made notes of it, and I'll continue to integrate that as we go.
Let me take again a second. Can you take a snapshot of this?
Yeah, let me see. And I got to tell you, my snapshots aren't as vivid as they used to be, but let me do, I have a couple steps here to do it. Okay, I've got it up there.
Fred is the specialist.
Okay, can you shift it up just a little bit higher?
Yes.
Yeah, right there. That's perfect. Hang on. Windows star. Let's try that screen print. Okay, there we go. It's starting to function. Don't move. Hold it, hold it, hold it up, hold it up
Oh,
there.
sorry.
Okay, good. Okay, I've got it captured. Thank you very much. You can take it down. Yeah, there's a rectangle, or I think that's supposed to be a square in time. That's an irregular octahedron with a rectangle in it.
Okay,
Right?
let me just go. Let me
Right.
show it. I'll show you why I did it.
All right, I'll bring it up. Give me a few seconds. Things aren't working as dynamically as they used to. And if I continue with Fred's suggestion, I'll have XP on my computer next time and I'll be running lickety split. Up comes your screenshot. And I can begin sharing my screen. Another few seconds and we'll be up and running. Here we go. Wow. Okay. Here is your drawing, Manu.
It's not yet showing.
Well, it's coming up. And it should be up. There you go. And I'm going to full screen.
It's not yet up.
Yeah, it's up. It's coming up. It's showing as on my screen share as being shared.
Okay. I did that yesterday. Just from my tetrahedron is not a regular one. I just drew one with hands.
Okay, cool.
So you can see the outer tetrahedron, right?
Right.
Let me take out the right. Can you see the outer tetrahedron?
Yes.
Okay.
And I
Now,
see the implied octahedron inside the tetrahedron.
okay, yes. Now I want to explain something. This is for Lee. Lee, when I say derivation, what you should understand is dividing an edge in two equal parts. So when I say first degree derivation, is the first division that I make. You got that?
Yes.
Now let's go. So I take the tetrahedron, it has 6 edges. I've divided each by 2, and I mark the middle point. Now, every point is related to the 2 closest. Every of those middle points is related to the 2 closest. There's always 2 closest. It's no more than that. So when you relate that, and then you outline in, on my thing is in red, but it doesn't show very well. You have an octahedron. Do you see the octahedron? If you take the middle point, yes, Steve, show it.
There's the middle square inside of the octahedron. And here's the top of the octahedron. Here's the bottom of the octahedron.
So
Are you complete?
Okay. So if you have that, that was the first derivation. The first derivation of this tetrahedron, of this word of mine, gave me an octahedron in the middle and 4 tetrahedra that are stellar, so that are going out, that are shining out. You can see the 4 on the top, at the bottom, to the right, and to the left, around the octahedron. Do you see it, Lee?
Yes.
Are you sure you see the stellations? Because they're real difficult to see. This is a stellation up here at the top. It's a pyramid.
Okay.
And there's another stellation over here. This is very irregular, but that's a stellation. And for some reason, oh, here's the stellation here. It goes out to the outside. This is near regular.
Yes.
So this stellation here, here's another stellation over here, which is opposite here. And then we have another stellation here.
Okay. Therefore, Lee, the volume, because I divided into 2 equal parts, the volume of the octahedron that is inside is the same as those 4 stellar tetrahedra. Do you see that? Yeah. Because I divided into 2 all the time, 2 equal parts. The volume inside is the same as the 4 volume outside.
You mean the volume of the cube inside is equal to the volume of the stellations on the outside?
I'll come to the cube. I want, my target is Lee. So the volume of that is 4 times the volume of the tetrahedra that I derived. Now I'll go into a second operation. I want to see further what is in that tetrahedron inside there. In that octahedron. The octahedron has how many edges? 1, 2, 3, 4 on the top in the north, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the south, and 1, 2, 3, 4 in the equator. That is 12 edges. See if you can show that. Yes.
Yeah.
I take each of those edges and I take the middle point. Those middle points now there would be 12 middle points. Those middle points, I mark them. I say 1, 2, 3, 4.
The middle points on the
Or the edges.
of the
Steve, show again.
octahedron.
Yes.
So the middle points on these, on the yellow things here. So the middle points on the octahedron. So there's a middle point right there.
Okay.
Here's a middle point here. Here's a middle point down here. Here's a middle point here. Here's a middle point here. There's a middle point over there. So there's 4 middle points on this top and 4 middle points on this top. Plus there's 4 middle points there. So there's 12 middle points.
Okay.
3, 4, 4 is 8, and 4 is 12. Right, Manu?
Yeah, when
Yes.
it's divided.
Okay.
Yes. Again, when I join each, the bonding will always be the easiest. Energy flows to the line of least resistance. When I join them to the 2 closest, I get the parallelogram or cube that you have in the middle. Do you see it? It is a parallelogram because I just drew the tetrahedron from the beginning. I didn't mind. I was just playing. If you look at
It's an irregular cube, and you're calling it a parallelogram. But it's
Yes.
that
Yeah.
shape here that has 4 walls here, 4 walls here, 4 walls here, 4 walls here, 4 walls here. It's a basically, if you imagine a square, a cube in the middle of this, connecting here, here, and here, and here, and then down here, you'd have a cube and you'd have a square inside of that yellow thing.
Okay.
Okay.
That thing of the octahedron and the cube is called the cube octahedron. The cube octahedron. We've seen that figure. Is the cube octahedron. You can imagine you can inflate out the square to come to whatever, but let it take it like that. That outline of the octahedron plus the cube inside is the cube octahedron. It has 12 vertices and it is space all filling. You see that? It can fill the space of that. It can fill it completely. But it is not stable. Why is it not stable? Because it has a cube. The cube is always wacky. The cube is doing, we did that the other day. The cube is going, Steve, can you show a wacky cube?
Can I show what?
A wacky cube, wacky. That is, it's always moving. Let me do one.
Oh,
yeah.
You're going to do a cube.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's always moving.
If you can do it, Lee, you can go up in the right-hand corner of Manu's picture and you'll see 3 dots. When you touch those 3 dots, it'll say pin Manu, and then he'll be real big in the middle of it. If you don't have the 3 dots, you can't do that.
I'm doing that now. I'm building a cube, and you see how the cube is. The cube, the reason for the cube into that stuff is to create the wiggle space coming to Fred. I like Fred's expression, the wiggling room. Remember on Wednesday, we talk about the wiggling room.
Wiggly. Yeah.
Yes, wiggling. So this is a cube. The cube will always do the pumping, always. It's always moving. And because this cube is moving, this cube is going to move with the faces, the tetrahedral faces that are here. If I do, let me put in blue. Let me just brace this one here. You see this position here? You see? You have a crystal here. This is a solid part here. This guy here is solid. You see this? But it's still moving. It's pumping.
Because it's a square. It's based
Because
on
the
the
square
square or
is
the
here.
cube.
Because that is the function of a cube. The function of this cube is to allow this solid guy here to move. This is the aircraft in which we are. And we're flying around the globe that way. Still governed by the laws of the thing. You see, this guy is pumping. When he moves, it's either contracting this space here or expanding it. Every motion has a direction. Every. So this guy here, as a solid, where my fingers is moving. But it's either doing this or that. Left and right, up and down, is pumping all the time. So that energy flows, energy always flows, energy flows to the line of least resistance. Line of least resistance is that allows this guy to stay safe, to take you to where you wanted to go, this airplane. Okay, so that is the whole stuff. So bonding is essential. That's why Bucky is so big in bonding. And continuity is essential because energy always flows. And stability and instability as a couple always extraordinarily important because stability allows you to have this and instability allows you to have that. Now you can be anti-entropic and do something else. I'm using this yellow. I want a bigger space that is stable. I brace it here. This thing is less stable now. It's moving, but less. If I brace it again with this green here, I don't know how to. It will be even less stable. See, now it's stable, but it's a bigger space inside. Look at this. Look at this. It's gone. But it was stable within the bigger stuff. So that is the Bucky telling it in a way that is in a cartoon, but which helps me to understand what it's all about.
Thank you.
Okay,
All
so
right.
Okay, hang on there.
please, Richard, go ahead.
Well, I'd like to walk through that bonding one more time in the way that I've come to understand it and see whether it sort of is compatible.
Okay.
What I've done is using the tetrahedron in a kind of a model, and when you have two tetrahedrons, one vertex to another vertex, you have a single bond, and so you get this maximum flexibility, and it's also maximum volatility. It's like a
Yes.
gas; it could blow up on you.
Are you talking about a bow tie, Richard?
Well,
He's talking about the gas.
Because it's the way you put the two tetrahedrons together, or you could put two triangles together, I guess, too, you get that bow tie effect, yes.
Okay, good.
Then when you take two vertexes,
Here, let me show the bow tie.
yeah, that way.
You see this? And this could be two triangles connected at one vertex, or it could be
Yeah.
two tetrahedra connected at one
Yeah.
point. That's a bow tie. This is a 3D bow tie. Just two triangles would be a 2D bow tie.
Yeah.
It would be fluctuating in 3D
Yeah.
space. Go ahead.
Now, just you can even hold it up there.
Okay.
And what I do is is that red, the top one?
There's orange and dark orange.
Yeah, whatever that color is, for me represents the context or the systems of people that we were trying to help in our work. And the green one represents the system and the organization or the people that are trying to be helpful. And so you have a single bond, which provides for the greatest flexibility in how those two work together. And it is precarious because if you say the wrong thing or approach someone incorrectly, it can blow up on you and they can quit or they leave or whatever it might be.
This
Then
has
when
blown up on me a couple of times already,
yeah,
just because it's not stable. Go ahead.
yeah. And so then when you put two vertices together, edge to edge, you get that double bonding. And so as Manu explained, it's like a hinge. So it's still got a fair amount of flexibility, but not as much as the single bond. Then when you put the three vertices together, sort of like a triangle base to a triangle base, it still has some flexibility, but it's kind of locked in.
Hang on a second, Richard. Don't go too fast. Let me just demonstrate that. So this is what you're talking about now, right?
Yes.
That's two, yes. That's pumping.
Okay.
Okay, so it's more stable than being connected at one vertex because it's connected at two vertexes, but it's still unstable in this regard. And you can see it doesn't want us. And there is some attraction going down here too, which would create another issue. So,
Yeah.
so there we go. So this is what you would call a double bond, Richard?
Yeah, that's the double bond. And then the three vertices, a triangle
That would then create,
base to base.
yeah, that would create. I'm gonna fix that. Hang on a second. Let me do that.
That gets you your three vertex kind of connections. Still has some flexibility, but not a lot. And then when you take that fourth, the way I've understood it is one of those tetrahedrons then, in a sense, fits inside the other. In other words, it becomes solid. And in a human relationship sense, that means when somebody's sort of life, so to speak, is melded into somebody else's and they have to become one, if you want, with somebody else, which often means that one dominates the other. um, or one loses their identity inside the other. It's there, but it's hard to see, and sometimes it's hard for the inside, if you want, person to express themselves in a open or free or, if you want, single bond kind of way. And so that's how I've understood that bonding principle, and it's been extremely helpful for me in being able to show how the context of two or more people can come together in a single bonding way, a double bonding, triple bonding, or an integrated sort of solid. You can't move without me moving, or you can't move without me allowing you to move, all that kind of stuff that happens to be the negative side of uh, of the diamond solidarity kind of idea. And it's also why I find it um, in sort of the way that Fuller has always been upset with this language matters issue. In other words, that the sun does not move. So why do we name it sunrises and sunsets? Um, and so this is this whole idea of naming things, like, for example, the spirit that we have in crisis work or disasters of various kinds is the concept of solidarity. The other way, we come together, we take a position, we stand firm on about something or against something. And so we assume that there is a solidarity when in fact there isn't. It's a tightly sort of woven working together. There's still flexibility, so it's not like you have to go lockstep, but you are in a web of togetherness instead of a block of or a solid of togetherness. So that's another way I've been trying to understand solidarity versus interconnectedness. So I
Richard,
share that, and whether or not that kind of
yeah,
fits with what Manu is helping us understand.
the power in what you say, Richard, is
Thank you, Richard.
illustrated. Yes, the power is illustrated, or is it Fred want to talk first? I'll yield.
No, no,
Oh,
no.
Can
I
I say
don't
something?
want to say it. No, no. I just
Okay,
wanted to thank Richard for his contribution. Thank you.
okay. I say the power in what Richard is saying is illustrated the most in the baby in the womb. Is complete submission of a baby for a while, and a while is important, in order to become what he has to become. So when the baby is fused in the womb, in the uterus of the mom, the baby completely depends on the mom.
Yeah.
The mom has absolute power on the baby. But because the baby is
Until
like
the
an
baby kicks.
yeah, what it kicks to give a signal. Remember that the kick is a signal to tell the mom, I'm still alive.
Mhm.
So it's something that is very, very, is a pulsation. It's just that the period of exchange visible between the mom and the baby is not that visible from outside. We are outside. Imagine it like we're looking from inside. We are outside and we are looking for a signal. And that pulse of a baby is always hidden. So the sine is so long, the cosine is very small. It's the kick. I'm here. And that,
Just stop there for a sec, because what the image that came to my mind right now is that also is a, if you want, a basic cubooctahedron. There's that kind of stability inside each other, but there is still enough little amount of flexibility that allows the kick to occur, it allows the signal to occur.
yeah.
Okay.
The beauty of this is that cube octahedron just appeared for 9 months out of a lifespan that's built, people say, over 120 years. So for that comparison of time, of us seeing it, it is unstable. But yet, it is for a while nurturing a power that has, I don't know, I don't far from what a power of a human can be. We don't know, but it's huge. We know that it's huge. We spend lifetime studying what is the me.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
I have an image of a group of people that I have joined and was taught by them. They're called CERT, all capital letters, Certified Emergency Response Team, here in the United States and also Canada. I think they've even moved to Mexico, but I don't know about China nor Africa. But you have in your country, you have something very similar. We are a response team for emergencies, and we have been trained so that we know what each individual is doing and will do in the future and did in the past. So that is kind of what you're talking about. You've got the stability of a group knowing what they're doing, but being able to go off into different areas of a disaster, such as like in my building, we have 90 different apartments. And as a certified person, I've got to go from one apartment to the next, and leave a ribbon of what damage is in there and mark on the door or the wall exactly how many people are in there, if they're hurt or if they're dead. All of it has to be ready for the emergency people to come in and help the individuals to survive if they're hurt. And so I can understand that. Military is the same way, is that each individual in the military, no matter where they are, they combine together and they know how to fight a war as a unit. So
Yes.
that's kind of the same thing, I think, isn't it, Richard?
Well, it is. I like your last reference because I understood some things from another mentor, Margaret Wheatley, who comes from Utah, um, and some of the things she learned what happened in the Gulf War, um, and it was the units worked together in the way in which you just described, but they were also given on-the-ground authority to adjust as they saw what was needed on the spot. So they're not beholden to a general command back at headquarters. So to me, that's another beautiful example of the cuboctahedron.
Yeah,
You've got the strength of the unit, and you have enough flexibility to allow individual decisions to be made on the spot.
exactly.
And I was also wondering again in my imagery is that in the way in which Manu described the tetrahedron of the baby inside the mother's womb and being, primarily dependent for a period of time, then when that tetrahedron comes out, is born, it's still pretty dependent. And so the connection may be more of a triangular base-to-base connection. Then it may go to a double bond where it's got a hingy kind of relationship, maybe by the time you're a teenager type of thing. And then eventually it becomes a single bond. And it's a very powerful relationship, but it's also very flexible, um, and provides maximum flexibility and energy flow between now two very adult sort of people in a similar kind of system, whether it's a family system or a community or
Exactly.
cultural system. Yeah,
I
so
know
that I
in the Oriental countries, I'm sorry, in the Oriental countries, the parents are taking care of the baby. The baby then grows up and takes care of the parents. And I
Mhm.
like that as a wonderful example that it can switch and turn around to help itself. That bow tie can be turned and help. Each can be an individual at a certain moment, but it'll also turn around and then help the ones that helped you as a youngster or a child. And
Yeah,
I'm still
and if in
my
between, if it becomes too late or too soon, then it becomes a problem.
You can reveal to me or clarify what is our purpose? The purpose of a thinking being. The purpose of a thinking being is to be an anti-entropic agent.
a what?
Anti-entropic agent.
Yeah. Well, can you switch that up? See, this is where I'm having an interest in the base that we start with. So if the base is entropic, and then our purpose is anti-entropic, but if I switch that around, then the base then becomes syntropic. That's our purpose, and we're anti-syntropic when we're trying to stop degradation or decay or that sort of thing.
But you can see a little bit different, Richard. You see, the base is syntropic globally. But we are in things. We are in fractals, inside. Remember that our space of our universe is the fractal of a cosmos.
A fractal.
Universe of a cosmos.
Oh.
Oh, yes, we are a little pocket.
Yeah.
There is very much possibility of parallel universes. It's not excluded.
Mm-hmm.
We are a little pocket of some macro stability that is turbulent. It's stability at the border of it in regard to the other stuff, but it's very turbulent inside. Because we are inside, life equipped us to way to survive. Remember, Becky always says, gravity is locally twice stronger than radiation.
Say that again.
Gravity is locally twice stronger than radiation. Do you see that? Gravity is what caused the bonding. Look at this. Steve, can you show again your two tetrahedra and that were in one bond?
That way, you're saying that gravity helps us not fly off the edge of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever, where we are, whatever we call it. Steve had it, very nice. But okay, we can still build it. It's not lost. Steve is better at this. Okay, this one tetrahedron. This is the blue here.
Oh, there is a bow tie.
Is okay, yes. When you look at that, you have one tetrahedron to the left and the other to the right. But the node, the bow tie, the tie, is also a sphere.
A what?
It's also a sphere. So one tetrahedron, that one is pointing there, another one is pointing there. So two radiation, but one tie in the middle for that stability. Remember that is stable. That relationship is stable. So that guy in the middle, the cipher that is in the middle, is a gravity. It's holding them together. It's bringing them together. It's gravity. You have one of these. How many do you have that want to fly? Two. You have one tetrahedron and the other. Steve has made it in a different colors, which doesn't in the same color, which doesn't show you properly.
Well, there's one other thing in terms of that modeling right now. If you're putting two together, at that intersection of that bow tie, you need two of those magnetic balls.
Yes, but
and-
it's fused into one to make gravity.
Yeah, but you have to see it as two in order to understand the volatility of the connection, because each one of them still retains its own, if you want, identity. Yeah. So it's fascinating.
This is showing it differently. You see the blue and the red?
Mm-hmm.
Both are radiative, nah? Both are going. The red is going its way, is positive pole. The blue is negative. It is also positive in this relationship. Let me hold it like this. If you take the set of these three, energy is going out, energy is going out. Here, it's not closed yet. But this guy in the middle is holding them together. It is holding two tetrahedra together. This is one tetrahedron, the red tetrahedron and the blue tetrahedron is held only by that guy. So if you count in tetrahedra, this guy plus those guy is stable. That means equals 0. Because this guy has a sign, those guys have another sign. So if there are two of those and this one only, x plus 2 equals 0, mean that x equal to minus 2. And is minus, therefore is gravitational. So this gravity is locally is twice the radiation, this radiative. But ultimately, who will prevail? What does Bucky say? Ultimately, who will prevail? Radiation will prevail. Everything will dissipate. So we are locally formed by gravity for a purpose. Fred might not agree with me. We are locally formed inside that for a purpose that we are anti-entropic to preserve the integrity of this guy here. That's what Bucky said. But for a while, just for a while, and we accept it.
All
For
I'm
a
doing
while, yes.
All I'm doing is playing with the words as to whether or not we're anti-entropic or whether it's pro-syntropic.
I'm anti-entropic in the preservation of this guy here, for it to hold this bond between these two locally.
Yeah, no,
And that's
you
what,
keep saying that, but I'm saying that the correct language might be pro-syntropic or just
yes,
syntropic.
yes. Well, I must say I support syntropy for the syntropy to do locally what it has to do. Now the anti, knowing that anti doesn't mean against. Let's just be clear. And it is your language, Richard. Anti doesn't mean against. Anti and antagonistic is different.
Well, no, well then I'm going off track maybe a little bit, but this is another one of my pet peeves is the importance of the way people address things like anti-oppression, anti-racism, anti and those are messages of being against something and wanting to reverse it or change it into something that's more positive. And yet we we teach ourselves to adhere to the concept of being against something like anti-oppression, anti-racism, and so that's another one of my pet peeves as to whether or not there's a more proactive, if you want, or positive sort of word or expression to represent that we're pro-race, if you want, pro-diversity, and we're against the inclusiveness. We're anti-exclusion is what we really are, and we're pro-inclusive. Yeah.
My answer to that is that it takes a lot of consciousness, the growth of in consciousness, to understand these things.
Yeah, and
It
that's
takes,
why
there's no the key but education.
Yeah.
That is, you have to be, yeah.
But the other thing is that, and again, I'm back in one of Bucky's pet peeves, and that is we have known for over 500 years that the sun is not doing the moving. So why haven't we changed our language to match what we now know as being the truth or factual? And the argument is much the same of what you're just saying, is that that's too much work. I already know that the sunrise doesn't mean the sun is rising, so just leave it that way, and I'll go with the meaning.
Yes.
It's too hard to change the language.
Yeah. But then it will leave it to a few good men
Yeah,
to change the world.
right.
It's
Yeah.
always a few, maybe it's a necessity for that thing that say is only a few good men. It's never. I came across and I shared it, I think, this week, that the populace doesn't think. It's just too hard.
Well, that's also another thing that Bucky said is that you don't actually transform into something new and better until you reach the 11th hour and 59 minute and 59 second of the pending disaster. And then all of a sudden we all wake up and we make the course correction that is better than the previous one. And then we wait till we get to another almost calamity.
I just want to say, Richard, that I totally agree with you that like the DEI movement, as much as it started off with a profound, to have a potentially profound social impact, because of the language, because of the anti this and anti that, and because people didn't understand it, it tended to go too far. And suddenly meritocracy went completely out the freaking window. And all of a sudden we have unqualified people operating government in America. And I do so I think I'm agreeing with you when I say that the unclarity in our language, in the language that I use, the unclarity in the language that I use actually creates a what might be called a selective amnesia, where I'm not really clear on the concept, and so I miss the boat. I overshoot the mark or I undershoot the mark because I don't understand, because of the colloquial understanding of the words that are used. And that's why I, with you, say, okay, anti-entropic stops something, but syntropic means I get to be who I am, and I think I'm agreeing with you. Do my words sound like they agree with you? Or am I missing something?
No, they sound
Okay, good.
that's an interesting dialogue of language matters and how do we get the language and the meaning or the meaning and the language matching each other in a way that minimizes this confusion or lack of clarity. Yeah.
Well, I think it's really critical. I will tell you that I've sat now. I did. I've sat for 34 days in the last 360, maybe 375 days in the last year and 2 weeks. I sat for 34 days. And I will tell you that the purpose of the sitting is to become absolutely equanimous with the central nervous system response. In other words, I don't desire the central nervous system response and I don't resist the central nervous system response. I just sit and observe it. And what that does is it takes an edge off. I've found that I come back here on after this 34 days totally for the year. I think I mentioned to Fred in an email, I don't seem to be able to fall into my routine. You know, my routine was almost hypnotic. It was amnesic. It was, in other words, I had things I had to do, and I didn't even question them. And now I'm really having trouble falling into the old routine, and it's really quite distracting for me. And I think part of the reason is because of that. I am, in a way, desensitized to my habitual automatic response to stimulation and to words. I hope I'm
The
adding
beauty,
to the issue.
the beauty of it is that you are desensitized to one thing, but you are, whether you want it or not, sensitized to something else.
Exactly right.
So there's always something, there is continuity.
Yeah,
There's no such thing as discontinuity. You constantly change from
sure.
one experience to another. It's
Yeah,
seamless.
yeah.
Now, are you the only question that we have, and this is now derivative, is time, is are you conscious or are you unconscious of it? That do you remember it? You remember? Consciousness is by repetition. So consciousness is already in the past. Consciousness is not something that is innate.
Yeah, see,
Consciousness is acquired.
and that depends on how one uses one's words, how one defines the situation. And that's one of the issues I'm having with my book is I'm having to state right off the bat, if you think you understand this word that I'm saying, the likelihood is you don't. Because I'm going to say this word, but when I say this word, I mean this context. And in fact, one of the things in my book, there's a really cool book I found here called, I hope this distraction is okay with everybody. This book is called Right Concentration. And it's a book where the Buddha explains 8 levels of meditation. Each level of meditation is called a jhana. Now, the Buddhists make a big deal out of these jhanas, but Buddha says right off the bat that jhanas have nothing to do with enlightenment. And, you know, to me, I'm going, oh my gosh, I sat and listened to guys discuss the jhanas for like 2.5 hours. And right in the introduction of this book, it says the Buddha said that the jhanas have nothing to do with enlightenment. And these guys are sitting there looking at observing their sensations, um, and going to different levels of brain wave reaction to central nervous system response. And the Buddha says clearly this has nothing to do with enlightenment. And yet all these guys are studying the jhanas as if this is a pathway to enlightenment. There are 8 jhanas, so I got to go through jhana 1, jhana 2, up the ladder. No, they're not. And in this book, he says, well, I don't want to be pedantic, so I'm not going to say the suttas or the lectures, the written lectures of Buddha, the suttas of Buddha say, Buddha said. He said, I'm just going to say Buddha says. To me, that's exactly the wrong thing to say because who knows what the Buddha said? You know, the suttas were put together 80 years after he died. They were put together from because everything it was an oral tradition, everything was memorized, and so Buddha would teach a talk. He'd memorize the talk and teach it to his disciples or the priests, and then they go out and give that same talk. Well, 80 years after the Buddha's dead, everybody's realizing, geez, all the guys who have these talks memorized, they're about to die. We better put these books together. That's the suttas. So who knows what the Buddha said? All we know is what the sutta says the Buddha says. And when I put that in line, it's a lot different saying the Buddha says to me,
Exact.
to me. And this is the point you're making, Richard, I think, with this whole concept of anti-entropic, syntropic. In fact, I read another one today because I found out there are two kinds of entropy. There's transitional entropy and some other kind of entropy. And so they talked about negentropy.
Mm.
So we have
Right.
another way to look at the concept of radiation and gravity and bonding and relationship, you know? So I think your point is so well taken, Richard. I love the fact that you're stressing that um, in the conversations and reminding us. Thank you.
Let
I'm
me say
complete.
something,
I'm
Steve.
complete.
Let me say something.
Yeah.
There's only one basic thing in relationship to me or us is I see and sense or I don't see and sense. What I don't see and sense is radiative. Or let's say generality, what I don't see is relative. What I see is gravitational because I can bond with.
Okay.
Full stop. It's a practical thing, way to give it that keeps us on a leash from getting too lost. What I see, what I mean seeing, is me and all my antenna.
Yeah.
What I see is gravitational,
Yeah.
because then
You're
I
saying that
can
what
establish a relationship.
yeah.
I
So what
can
you're
I can bend towards. Yes.
yeah. So other words that you're saying is I can see what comes to me. I can see what I'm gravitating with. But reality is also radiative, and I don't see that radiation.
Exact.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my relationship with that is pulsative. It
Yeah.
is at
Everything is
once I
pulsating.
see.
Everything is
Yes.
pulsating. And this is the
Yes.
reason in Vipassana one sits to observe the pulsations. And one sits to observe how this sensation arises and then it passes. And so one of the concepts in Buddhism is impermanence or anicca in Pali, the word anicca, which means impermanence roughly in English, but it's more than that. Anicca is not only is it impermanent, but the impermanence is part of a cycle of reality. And even though that's going away, there's something else coming. It's
Okay.
arising and it's passing away. So, but the words are really critical to this thing in terms of really understanding the thing, and most people won't take the time to ponder it.
Okay. Let's take another example. You see a non-homo from Saturn.
A
That
non what?
is a non-homo,
What?
non-homo, not us, non-homo.
Oh, no Homo sapien, an alien.
Yes,
Okay,
watching us.
yeah,
All is perceived is two things. We move or we are still. We don't move.
yeah,
That's all it perceives. It doesn't perceive our moods. It doesn't perceive that Steve is angry.
yeah,
It doesn't perceive that Manu is smiling. It just see Manu moving
yeah,
or Manu like
yeah,
not moving.
yeah,
So it is perception. The notion of binary, it also depends on the degree of the observer. Where is
sure,
the observer?
absolutely. And
We
you made
can only
assumptions,
talk about, yes, we can
and
only
you
talk
made,
about binary from inside.
right. Yeah, you're
Okay.
making assumptions about what an alien consciousness can actually perceive about us, because I think it's all about energy. And so, like we know there are seven, we talk about seven chakras or seven energy centers in the human body. Some people argue there are 13 of them. And if this alien is only functioning in four of those, they're not going to see everything. And if they're functioning in 34 levels of energy, they're likely going to see everything we're doing. And they're going to say, what a bunch of silly ants. Well, let's don't bother those ants. They're just crawling around in 7 to 13 energy centers, and we're roaming around in 47 energy centers. Let the ants alone. They'll grow up one day. So, no, that's really good. Now, Fred, I guess you're working on your Google problem. What's going on for you, Fred? Do you have any comments on all this conversation? Do you
Input
mind
that.
sharing? Maybe it's not worth sharing. It's up to you, sir.
No, I put stuff in the chat
as we've been going. Cool.
as side notes to the conversation. It's not necessary to interrupt the flow to add the definition and stuff like this.
Oh yeah,
So
I love this.
I put it there. It's but I'm with you. I'm commenting.
Yeah. There you go.
He's been grading us.
Yeah,
The
you've
silent
been
grader.
listening and feeding
And
back.
grading
This
us,
is really good.
see,
Yeah.
putting the answers, like the definition to see if we are correct or not.
Yeah, and
But
Fred,
that's cool.
you
That's
agreed with
cool.
me that it's a bold assumption to say that an alien entity may not have a richer perception. I think I kind of came to that with 42 chakras instead of 7 or 15, So very good.
Yes.
Silly ants.
So
Where's
all
my
that matters,
magnifying?
for us is how we perceive, Steve.
Yeah,
Because we don't
exactly.
know. All
Yeah.
that matters, that's the only technique that we have.
Yeah. I love the magnifying glass, Fred. That was really cool. Okay, so uh, let me see. We got about a half an hour left on this phone call. Do you want to, let's,
I was
please go
sorry,
ahead.
Steve. I was
No.
actually looking for Bucky's quote about conceptual universe is involuting and evoluting, and but I cannot find this quote. Does any of you has it?
But he says it's very basic. He says it many, many times. I don't have it exact, but I've read it so many times on Bucky's. It's a conceptual universe,
Yes.
and it is
Yes.
it
I
is
know
positive. Yes.
I know the quote. I'm looking for the exact wording of it.
Did you check in synergetics?
No, I did not check in synergetics. I checked in critical path. I thought it was there. I did not check in synergetics.
I'm trying to see which book I have. No items. I must have critical path in my computer, and I don't have
The problem with
synergetics.
PDFs is that, especially on synergetics, which is nearly 2,000 pages for 2 books, is that I don't know how to search for several terms combined.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Like a fuzzy search. I can search for one term, but synergetics is such a big book that one term just appears like 200 times for each stage. It's
And unfortunately, maybe
remember that critical path is Bucky's novel. His real book is synergetics. It's Bucky's novel. You know the novel.
Yeah,
Yes.
everybody knows.
Yeah.
That synergetics is the opus magnum, but critical path is a very affordable book when you want to introduce people to the thinking of Bucky. It's very useful.
Yes,
I
that's true.
actually like critical path better than synergetics. Synergetics is not very affordable. It's a difficult book.
And the word you were looking for was what word, Fred?
I'll type them. There's a spiraling. There's involuting.
Evoluting.
And it's a quote about regenerative
Conceptual universe.
Conceptual universe, yes.
Okay, I found 5 references of evoluting in critical path.
Conceptual universe and regenerative. And then there's partially overlapping. There's no need to stop the flow of the conversation
Well,
for that.
we've only got a few minutes left. And I think these are important concepts, but I don't mean to capture the conversation either. If we want to move on to something else, we certainly can.
Anyway, I was looking for this conversation because I was thinking when we talked about babies and production of the next generation, that Bucky has quite an interesting view about generations partially overlapping, and I thought this quote was capturing the essence of his view on human generations.
Yes,
But I could not find a quote. But I agree with Manu, it's everywhere in my notes and something, but for some reason I just can't find it. I see Richard is hard at work trying to find it, and I appreciate that.
Well, I'm in synergetics, the chapter that defines conceptuality. So, but I'm still looking.
And then Steve mentioned, I think it's Steve, yeah, mentioned that everything always happened at the, oh, maybe it was Richard. Richard mentioned everything always happened at the last minute when we start to panic about when we see things going in the wrong direction and all that. And this is captured in Critical Path by in the nick of time.
Yeah.
Things happen nick of time.
But remember, I've got how will I call it? Something came to me very vividly, in that if you take relationships as functions and you go to the class of functions, you look at the class of functions, there are two special functions that have a very interest. One is the exponential as a power function, and the other one is the logarithmic function. And the power function, they describe explosive events. And the logarithmic function describes accumulative events. That's the very definition of a logarithm. Things that add to each other, they pile up. And when they pile up, the effect of it is slow at the beginning and accelerated. When it reach a critical point, that is the point of inflection. Because the logarithm is like this. That is the graph of logarithmic function, a little bit like this. So it grows very slowly around 1. I don't know, I don't want to break my break my ruler, but Fred knows very well what I'm talking about. Around 1, it is very slow. So it will take 90% of your time to show up. But once it shows up, it is lethal.
Yeah. This
And
is
that's the
effective.
basis.
This
Yes,
is a J
that's the
curve on
critical.
compounding.
Yes.
It's a J curve on compounding. It starts out real slow and then right at the end it goes crazy.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of defining or limiting relationships as functions, because functions have a limited domain. That's one. That I don't think relationships have a limited domain. And second, functions can only have one value of y for each value of x. And I think relationships are not limited by one-to-one values. But that's,
Okay,
but that's my personal opinion about that.
Well, I like that.
But
The idea that relationships are hypergraphical. They're not 2 or 3-dimensional. They're multidimensional, and we're lucky to perceive all of that energy.
Yes, that's the limit of the limitation of function is that they are defined as a one-to-one relationship for each value of the input to one value of the output. You cannot have several values of the output, and that's one of the definitions. That was my second point. The first point is that they're limited to a very narrow domain. domain being the point of action. And I think relationships are more rich than what functions can express.
And
Okay,
I'd like
let
to
me,
say
can I
something.
take a take? Okay, yes, Steve,
I'd like
go
to
on.
say something to what you said, Manu. You took your ruler and went and bent it, you know. I think, this represents, and I don't know if I'm using the word you said, but logarithmic relationships where if that ruler's flat, then it was an incident or something. What did you call it? What was the difference? You said two kinds of things.
No,
Exponential
I say there are two things. You have this explosive,
Yeah, explosive.
and then you have this accumulative.
Oh, I see. So you're just going one arc to a different arc, because what I was
Yes.
perceiving was the flat that's in between them, and I think most humans see the flat in between them, not knowing there are no straight lines. That every event that is occurring in my life is a result of some logarithm, some
Oh,
multiple functional thing that's happening, and I'm mostly aware of not only a fractional
okay.
part of what I actually see.
Yeah.
Right? And this goes where radio waves are so big they look flat to us. The
Yes.
only way they can perceive a radio wave is they, are got antenna on every side of the planet and take a computer to correlate what time that wave hits the Earth and then determine that's a gravity wave because it's so flat that it cannot be perceived by humans.
Okay. Let's go to the first principle. I'm addressing Fred. First principle, it says boundary. As soon as you have boundary, you have what?
What?
Space. As soon as you have boundary, you have space.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't mean to answer for you, Fred, but that makes
Yeah,
sense
no,
to me.
hold
Yeah,
on. I just want to go. The first
Yeah.
principle, the first triangle
What
is
is it you have when you have boundary? I did not get the word.
Space.
space.
Oh, space. Okay, thank you.
Yes. It is the first triangle of a relation that we can ever do is energy, boundary, space. That is primal.
Okay.
Our universe is finite. And when there is space, energy flows in and out. That is a direct consequence. And around. In, out, around. Of finiteness is again something basic. What you call the pillars of our understanding. So, if it comes around, it means it folds. Because we perceive it with a lag. It folds. And the folding is the line of flow of energy. The folding. Once it curves, curvature is a fold. That is a line of flow of energy. So, a line of flow of energy is a channel of our information, is a channel of our relationship. So, a relation exists only to the extent that there is a boundary. If there's no boundary, there's no relationship. Because a relationship is a line of flow. So, if it is like that, a function, and then this goes to, because that folding conveys energy in a directional way for a purpose. I know that.
What are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is that a function is a relationship.
Yes.
That's
but,
yes, let me continue.
We all agree on that. We all agree on that. What I was saying was the opposite.
Right.
Is that
And
can we say that?
and
Can we reduce a relationship to a function? And I think we can't.
okay, no, I haven't reduced. In a world that is finite, our space is finite, our universe is finite. That relationship, that function of what we observe, if it has a solution, because finite If it loops, it means equals 0. Combination, something, if it go from me, going back to me, equals 0. If that equals 0 exists, it is a discrete case. If there is a solution or solutions for it, then it is within the gravitational field that I observe. There's no solution, I don't observe, is radiative. It's going somewhere else. So it's either explosive, going somewhere else, or it's coming back to me. And if it's coming back to me, my function within that loop has a solution. That's why, for example, the phi is a solution to a polynomial equation.
Yes, I agree. But polynomials, I was waiting for you to say polynomial. Polynomials are not functions. Some polynomials are functions. Not
No,
all
those
polynomials.
that are functions.
Not all polynomials are functions. So maybe you can describe more precisely that relationships are polynomials, because then they can come back to you.
Oh,
But
yes.
functions cannot come back to you. Functions can only keep going.
Hold on. The word function means something to you. What does function mean?
Definition of function. It's one-to-one relation. I mean, go to the mathematical definition of function.
Okay, to me, function is for a purpose.
No, there's not to me or something. There's one definition, not 20. One. There's
Okay,
no
I
wiggle
said to
room.
me. That's why I said to me.
There is no wiggle room in the definition of function. When we look at the exponential function I put in the chat and the logarithmic function I put in the chat, as the x-axis increases, the y value on the function goes to infinity in both cases. They just go to infinity at a different rate. It goes extremely fast. It goes extremely fast in the exponential function. It goes extremely slowly and slower as we move along in the logarithmic function. But both are divergent, explosive, going to infinity.
Of course, gravity is locally around 1. Stronger, twice stronger than than explosive, but ultimately, everything is explosive. Everything disintegrates.
I'm the referee, and it's
why do we have gravity suddenly coming up?
right on. I'm the referee, and it's 9:44, and we're gonna do takeaways now and resolve the peripheral issues outlying and inlying. We'll resolve those now. So, Richard, how are you feeling, and what are your takeaways tonight?
Well, I'm feeling energized, and I feel the dynamical kind of nature of this evening, and it was really nice to hear the way in which something is understood or explained by someone, and then to be able to kind of map it in relation to something that one understands or has developed an understanding of, and to see whether there's a parallel or an integration or a slightly different angle, but still the same thing. So what I really take away from that is again, it's something that I've had trouble with over the years as I try and take something that's a knowledge base like Fuller outside of my discipline's normal sort of reading boundaries, and then to try and bring it into that field in a way that it makes sense to somebody else. And I've never really had this kind of fraternity, if you want, to be able to listen to somebody else's understanding of something, compare it with how I've been trying to understand it, and to see whether there's convergence or divergence, and then to be able to go back to the primary audience. In this case, it would have been students, and say, course correction, I sort of missed something. I want to repeat it to you, or not repeat it, but I want to correct what I was looking at, so that you can begin to see something in a different perspective. And so I take that kind of positive feeling out of our kinds of dialogues. And my only regret is that I was not engaged in something like this 25, 30 years ago. I had to rely on my own reading and interpretation and explanation to somebody else. So, Fred, how are you feeling? What's your takeaway?
Well, that was thank you, Richard. That was a pretty interesting call. I'm a bit frustrated I did not find my quote, but to rebel on what Richard says, I find myself as I move forward in time, relying more and more on definitions. And I used to do mathematics and gloss over definitions because that was a boring part of it. And more, I refer to definitions because if you want, I started my this call by mentioning proof. The essence of proof usually relies on the definition, on precise definitions with no wiggle rooms. That's the essence of it. So that's how I feel, and that's my takeaway at the same time. So Lee, how are you feeling today, and what is your takeaway?
This has been really good. Thank you, Manu, for reintroducing the bow tie, everything that we had studied earlier. I am grasping it even more as I'm going through the book with you all. Being a newbie, if you understand what a newbie is, it's a new person in a situation. And I am new, and I'm grateful for all of what I have learned just today, let alone last week and Wednesday. And it just boggles my mind. I have gained strength because it was interesting while I was in a grocery store today. I started seeing triangles and tetrahedrons, and it was wonderful. I could see them and understand them, and I was grateful that I had that new information to see it so easily now. I pray that I will gain more this Wednesday and again next week. And I thank all of you, including you, Richard. You have given me a lot. And also you, Fred. I would like to ask Manu, how do you feel? And what you get out of today?
I feel thankful and grateful. It was really a good exchange. I'm trying to discipline myself or to discipline myself to be less disruptive. And I hope that my grade from Fred is growing. I look forward to a logarithmic function of that, of the whatever variable is it, that it is cumulative, that is growing cumulative and progressively. Okay. And I take away quite a few fundamental things. The fundamental thing is the function as function physically. A function, to me, it is going somewhere. It has a meaning within a context of a finite universe. A function is something that is there for a role. Function is role. The second thing that I take away is that my knowledge follows a cumulative process by looping. It comes to me and accumulate, or I actively, because I've seen that the accumulation is taking me somewhere that it shouldn't, I take out that layer of accumulation from my knowledge and I continue. And that this process is absolutely continuous. Life is continuous. Energy is continuous. Space is continuous. Energy always active. And that gravity means accumulation, flowing towards something. The minus sign. Flowing towards. And you cannot flow towards something if you are not accumulatively adding to that. And radiation means flowing away of something. So it means going out of a trough. And that a trough and a peak always exist. And that when something is flowing continuously, my trough is first filled, and then it goes away at the peak, flowing overboard. That way, my life is really pulsative. And the time that my flow is in that trough is my universe. That's all I see. Because I don't see the thing that have gone away. I see what is in my trough. And in that trough, I have a lot of standing waves. Because whatever, let's just take water has come in from a cascade, boom, inside, and trying to go out, bounce on the borders of my dam and come back to interact with those which were going that way, in forming standing waves. And those standing waves are also called stationary waves. And those stationary waves are discrete. They are Steve's, his famous word, what is that? Stability, discrete stabilities, pocket of stabilities. You know the word, Steve. And fractals.
Okay, good. I was going to say fractal, but that's...
Yes, there are distribution. There's a discrete distribution of fractals because of gravity and radiation and boundaries interacting that allow lives in those things. So there might be a lot of parallel those fractals, parallel universes that at the macro level are so are stable. So there are so many takeaway, and I strongly have faith. I put the word faith and belief that I'm here for a purpose. This consciousness of mine has a purpose. I don't know that purpose exactly, but I'm discovering it. And the process of discovering that purpose is what in history will be my life on earth at this time. So there are so many takeaways. But anyway, in order not to eat all the time, Steve, how do you feel? What do you take away?
Well, I too am really grateful because what I experienced tonight was we didn't get to a reading, which in a way I could take that personally because my job is to like to make sure we get through this book. But I also created a statement of what I was getting, and then you, Manu, brought something you've been thinking about, your diagram of the uh, cube inside of the octahedron, inside of the tetrahedron. So, and I found that to be really helpful to go through the single bond, double bond, triple bond, and quadruple bond one more time. And I think I understood it better this time than I have understood it before. And then Richard added to that when he started interpolating the bonding with relationships and humans and and organizations, in fact. Um, you just went away. Did you just hang up?
No,
You're not on here.
touching it.
Well, I don't think you're on the call. But anyway, you can watch it from here. There are only four participants. Somehow you got logged off. So anyway, Lee's watching from back there. So that was good. I'm grateful that everybody is patient with everybody. I also I want to throw out one other thing too, because one of the things that with this conversation about fractals, the idea of the isotropic vector matrix, isotropic means the same size, at least from my understanding, and so an isotropic vector matrix, this idea of a derivative where I take a radius, and I divide it in half, and I continue to do that, creating these little fractaline ideas. This is very topological. And one of the problems I'm having is relating the topology of all this to the real life of it. I think this goes back to how I understand to my original comment about how I'm having trouble relating the isotropic vector matrix to molecular life forms. I've been looking into that, and I've got some amazing podcasts that have come out um, uh, over with some of these topics, with circles and uh, with different things, and they've been really, really good. But they're just little spots here and here and here and here. I just want to say that, and I love the fact that Manu seems to be on a campaign about purpose. Um, the one problem with going around and coming back, that's either to me that's kind of a two-dimensional approach because to me there are only spirals. Nothing ever comes back to the same place that it was before. I might think it did, but it's all a spiral and it's all continually moving. Purpose is a moving target. I might be able to understand purpose in this local context, but I have no concept of what purpose is in the bigger picture of things. And if I think I do, I'm really screwing myself up. So I love this adventure. Um, No, I'm really grateful for everybody. I'm still having trouble with this octahedron and the cube octahedron and their interrelationships. I'm going to come back and look at that. Tonight's conversation, I worked with the magnets here for a while Manu was talking and while we had conversation. That was very helpful to me. I built I hope it doesn't fall apart. Here's a cube octahedron inside, or here's an octahedron inside of a double tetrahedron. This seems to be more material than the implied octahedron inside of the single tetrahedron. So I'm just pondering all this and grateful for the for this for being able to. I'm grateful for Richard, your concept of frames in the first place. That seems to me when I got out of Platonic solids and got into Platonic frames and got out of Archimedean solids and got into frames, and Catalan solids and got into frames, it means that has really been helpful language for me. It helped me put all this together. So I'm grateful. Thank you guys for being patient with me as I run these meetings. And I hope everybody has had the opportunity to express themselves freely. And I love the spirit of exchange that I'm experiencing, and hope that that's true for everybody here on the call. So I'm complete. Any other final comments before we go bye-bye? Yeah.
According to the AI of myself, actually, you have a pretty good grade. It's 2 minutes past 7 here. So you are just two minutes over the 2 hours.
Good.
Oh yeah.
So pretty good. That's 1%. No, I guess not. 2 hours is 120, and 2 minutes of 120. I'll figure it out. It's around 1%-ish, a little over 1%. I'm grateful for each of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have 0.8%.
And by the way, Steve, feel
Yeah.
less guilty about sticking with the book, because by having, and Fred did that the other day, the same experience the other day with us, by having this type of discussion, you draw so much. And
Yeah.
you draw from very, you're starting from a point and you're expanding and looking at the strands that take you to different paths. We might have read the very end paragraph of a book without knowing, because you are exploding, you are exploring radially, and you are going and trying to tie back to something, to a discussion that you're having now, and that usually lead you to insights. Yes.
Thank you, Manu. What were you going to say?
Hold on to that thought until Wednesday and throw it at Wayne.
And Fred, what were you going to say before that?
Before that, once you've downloaded the zip file I sent you,
okay,
can you let me know so I can delete it? Okay.
I will do it. Thank you. Isotropic means same attraction in all directions. Good. All right, great, you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. See you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Lee says bye.
Thank you, Steve, for hosting us. Bye-bye.
You betcha. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Manu.